You are on the Messages from the Soul channel. Subscribe now, turn on notifications, and help spread this message around the world. You know that feeling of starting something full of excitement and then suddenly abandoning it halfway through? Have you ever been through that? I bet you have. We all have. We start a diet on Monday, determined to change our lives. By Wednesday, we're already eating that just this once treat. We buy an inspiring book to study, read the first few pages with enthusiasm, and after a week, it's just sitting on the shelf, gathering dust. We promise to start exercising. We even pay for the gym membership. But after 3 weeks, we're already making excuses not to go. And what about spiritual practices? How many times have you promised to pray every day, read the gospel regularly, meditate, and consistently do charity work? How many times have you committed to helping that institution, that social project, that person in need, and simply kept putting it off until you completely forgot about it? The burning question is, why does this happen? Why do we start so many things with such enthusiasm and then abandon them halfway through? The answer lies in 2 words that many people don't like to hear: discipline and consistency. The truth is, the difficulty isn't in starting. Starting is easy. Starting is exciting. Starting gives us that feeling of novelty, of possibility, that now things will finally be different. But the real difficulty lies in maintaining discipline and consistency when the initial enthusiasm fades, when routine sets in, when no one is applauding, when results are slow to appear. And here's something very important that we need to discuss honestly. If we ourselves don't do what needs to be done, if we don't make an effort, if we don't keep our commitments to ourselves and to others, why should we expect God to do everything for us? Why do we expect Him to change our lives if we are not willing to change even a single comma of our behavior? Look, I'm not saying that God doesn't care or that He doesn't help us. Quite the contrary. God is merciful. God is infinite love. God is always by our side, but He is also just. This is a spiritual truth that people often prefer to ignore because it's more comfortable to believe only in mercy and forget about justice. God created universal laws that govern the universe, both on the physical and spiritual planes. One of these fundamental laws is the law of cause and effect. Every action generates a consequence. Every choice has a result. If you plant corn, you harvest corn. If you plant wheat, you harvest wheat. If you plant negligence, you harvest failure. If you plant consistent effort, you harvest results. And along with these laws, God gave us a precious and also frightening gift: free will, the ability to choose our path, our attitudes, our thoughts, our actions. Therefore, it makes no sense to attribute to God what is a direct consequence of our own choices. How many times have you heard someone say something like this? I did my part and still wasn't happy in love. God didn't help me. Or, I've been unemployed for months, I can't find a job at all. It's not my fault, it's God who isn't helping me. But when you talk calmly with these people, when you really investigate the whole story, in many cases not all, but many, you discover that the person didn't actually do their part. They say they did, they sincerely believe they did, but in practice, they didn't. In her romantic relationship, for example, she was constantly aggressive, explosive in arguments, didn't know how to listen, didn't make concessions, and didn't work through her own emotional wounds that sabotaged the relationship. At work, she was regularly late, did the bare minimum, complained about everything, spread negative energy, didn't develop her skills, and didn't seek to improve them. Do you notice the pattern? Often we think we're doing our part when, in reality, we're only doing the bare minimum, or not even that. And then we become resentful towards God, towards life, towards the universe, as if we've been wronged. But divine justice doesn't work that way. Divine justice sees everything. It sees not only our outward actions, but also our intentions, our real dedication, our true effort. It sees whether you truly committed yourself or only pretended to commit. It sees whether you persevered in the face of difficulties or gave up at the first obstacle. Think about it. If you don't evolve your consciousness, if you don't act in a concrete and consistent way, it's no use waiting for a magical divine intervention that will solve all your problems while you sit around waiting. Of course, sometimes, and here I need to be fair, too, sometimes seemingly inexplicable divine interventions do happen. Miracles occur, graces are given, help appears that seems to come from nowhere. When this happens, it is by the mercy of God, by His infinite love for us, because we are His children and He desires our good. But this does not always happen. It cannot always happen, because if it always happened, it would completely lose the meaning of divine justice. It would lose the meaning of free will. It would lose the meaning of spiritual evolution through one's own effort. If God did everything for us without us having to do anything, we wouldn't evolve. We would be eternal spiritual babies, incapable of walking on our own 2 feet, eternally dependent, eternally immature. But that's not what God wants for us. He wants us to grow, to mature, to become conscious co-creators of our own reality. Jesus, the Master of Masters, taught this so clearly and directly. He said, Knock and the door will be open to you. Seek and you will find. Ask and you will receive. Do you notice the structure of that sentence? The first movement is always ours. You are the one who needs to knock on the door. You are the one who needs to seek. You are the one who needs to ask. It's no use standing still waiting for the door to open by itself, for the treasure to fall into your lap, for the wish to be granted without you even making it. You need to take the first step. You need to take the initiative. You need to do your part. And doing your part isn't about doing it once and giving up. It's not about knocking on the door once and, if it doesn't open immediately, leaving complaining that God didn't hear you. It's about knocking persistently. It's about seeking tirelessly. It's about asking with faith and then acting as if the request is already being answered. Aligning your actions with what you ask for. Change, all true and lasting change, always begins with mindset. Before you can change your body, you need to change your mind. Before you can change your external life, you need to change your internal life. Your beliefs, your habitual thoughts, your way of seeing the world and yourself. If you believe you are a victim of circumstances, that nothing you do matters, that the universe is conspiring against you, then that is exactly what you will experience. But if you change that mindset, if you begin to see yourself as a co-creator of your reality, as someone who has the power of choice and action, as someone responsible for the results of their own life, then everything begins to change. And after the change in mindset comes the first concrete action. Not the 10th, not the 1000th, but the first. The one that seems small, insignificant, but that breaks the inertia. The one that says to the universe, to God, to yourself, I am committed. I am doing my part. I am moving forward. So, what are you going to do now? Are you going to continue in the cycle of starting and giving up, always blaming circumstances, other people, even God? Or are you going to take responsibility for your life and truly start doing your part with discipline and consistency? Because here's the most beautiful and liberating truth. Divine intervention does indeed come. It happens, but it comes in harmony with human effort. The more you move towards your goals, the more the universe conspires in your favor. The more you do your part, the more God does his part, which is often infinitely greater than you can imagine. But you need to take the first step, and the second, and the third, and keep walking, even when your feet hurt, even when the path seems endless, even when you stumble and fall. Getting up and continuing, that's the essence of discipline and perseverance. So today, I invite you to make a real commitment to yourself. Choose an area of your life that needs change. It could be health, it could be spirituality, it could be relationships, it could be work, it could be anything. But choose one and truly commit to it. Not just with fleeting enthusiasm, but with a firm, inner, profound decision. And then take the first concrete step today, not tomorrow, not on Monday, today, now, and then take the second step tomorrow, and the third the day after tomorrow, and continue day after day, building through consistency the life you desire and deserve. Remember, God will not do for you what you can and should do for yourself. But when you do your part with sincerity, dedication, and persistence, He works miracles in the part that only He can do. This is the divine human partnership that transforms lives and destinies. Do your part, really truly, with discipline and consistency. And watch how your life begins to change in ways you never imagined possible. The universe is waiting for you to take the initiative. God is waiting for you to take the first step. The door is waiting for you to knock on it. So don't wait any longer. Start now. Do your part. And trust that divine help will come at the right time, in the right way, for those who are truly on the path. If this message touched your heart, share it with someone special, and leave a comment saying what you felt. And don't forget to subscribe to the Messages from the Soul channel to continue receiving words of faith, hope, and comfort.